If you're going to file an insurance claim for your roof, you will have to spend money out of your own pocket, maybe even thousands of dollars. And you know what? Your roofer probably won't tell you that. Now, most of your out-of-pocket expenses are optional, but there's one that's legally your responsibility. It's not an option. So let's talk about what your out-of-pocket expenses are going to be, and we're going to start with the ones that are optional. Your insurance company is not going to pay for upgrades to your roofing material. For example, if you have a standard asphalt shingle at the time of your claim, your insurance company generally is not going to pay you to put on a class 4 impact resistant shingle. Also, if you have an asphalt shingle roof, they're not going to pay you to put on like a metal roof. Or if you have felt underlayment, they're not going to pay to upgrade you to all ice and water shield. So when you're talking to your roofing salesman and you decide that you want to do any of those types of upgrades, those are going to have to be out-of-pocket expenses for you. But guess what? Sometimes your insurance policy is written in such a way that it requires your insurance company to pay for upgrades to make you compliant with current building codes or regional codes. One example would be that if you don't currently have drip edge at the time of your insurance claim, now that's required by code, so your insurance company could be required to pay to have that installed so that you comply with code. Another example could be ice and water shield. Many areas now require ice and water shield to be installed by code. And if you don't currently have it on your house at the time of your insurance claim, your insurance company might have to pay to have ice and water shield installed when you have your roof replaced through your insurance claim. One of the most costly code compliance items that could come up is for your decking. So code requires now that your shingles be fastened to a solid roof deck. But if you have an older home, you might not have a solid roof deck. It might be what's called slat decking, so planks with gaps in between each one. That's not a solid roof deck. But for all these things, if your insurance policy doesn't cover code compliance, you'd have to pay for all these things yourself out of pocket. So that all could get pretty expensive for you. So why does your insurance company potentially pay for some upgrades but not for others, or some upgrades and not for all upgrades? Well, it has to do with whether or not you have what's called ordinance and law as part of your insurance policy. And if you have ordinance and law coverage in your policy, then your insurance company likely is going to have to pay to have those things installed or upgraded to make you compliant with the current code in your area. But this is where you, as the policyholder and the homeowner, have to do your research, do your homework before you file a claim. Because if you do not have ordinance and law coverage on your policy, then any of those things that are required to bring you up to code will be an out-of-pocket expense for you. And it's not like that's an optional thing, because if you don't make your roof comply with code, it won't pass inspection by your regional authority. Now remember, I said that only one of these was not optional, and I just said that this one is not optional, but it could be that out of the kindness of his heart, your roofer might include these things to make you code compliant at no charge to you. So I guess in a way, it kind of is optional. We'll say it's negotiable. That's better. What should you do? How will you know whether or not your insurance claim is going to cover these things? Call your agent, call your insurance company, and before you file the claim, and ask them, does my policy include ordinance and law? Now your agent or the claim rep, the service rep that answers the phone, might not understand the language, so you can just simply ask, do I have code upgrade? That's a term that they might understand, even though it's not technically correct. But what if there are maintenance problems with your roof? Will your insurance company pay for that? No. Issues that are related to homeowner maintenance, or what they call normal wear and tear, are almost always going to be an out-of-pocket expense for you. Probably the biggest example of an expense like that is going to be worn out or damaged or rotted wood. Now that could be the wood on your fascia, or it could be the decking, which is underneath the shingles. We've seen situations where some of the decking was rotted out. When we got the shingles torn off, we found that. And some of the time, amazingly, the insurance companies did agree to pay for that. But this is not something that you should expect your insurance company to do. Normally, even decking that is rotted out, the insurance company is going to consider that that's your responsibility to have taken care of or to take care of. And for you as a homeowner, taking care of something like that at the time of your roof replacement certainly is optional. You don't have to do it. It would be a good idea to do it, but you don't have to. But this next out-of-pocket expense for you as a homeowner is legally your responsibility. It's not an option. The deductible is the amount that the insurance company requires you to pay as part of your share of the cost of the repairs. It's called the deductible because the insurance company deducts it from the total amount of the claim and the dollar amount that they're going to give you. For example, if your claim is $20,000, but you have a $2,000 deductible, your insurance company gives you $18,000, and they expect you to come up with the other $2,000 to give to your contractor. So you get $18,000 from the insurance company, that goes to your contractor, and then you come up with $2,000 in this example, your deductible, and you give that to the contractor. So before you file a claim, again, I strongly recommend that you contact your insurance company, more specifically your agent if you have an agent, and ask your agent, what is my deductible? Because you don't want a big surprise when you find out that your deductible is much higher than you thought it was. That's happening more and more frequently now since insurance companies are raising deductibles, and homeowners just oftentimes are not aware of that. Now, this is where I have to bring up the fact that it's possible you might have a roofer who tells you that he's going to pay your deductible for you, so you get a free roof. This is typically going to be done by a roofing salesman that is just desperate to get a signed contract so that he can earn a commission. To entice you to hire him, he's going to offer to pay or waive or discount or rebate your deductible. Now, this is illegal in 37 different states. And in the 13 states where it's not illegal, it's still a violation of the contract that you have with your insurance company. It's insurance fraud. So if you have a roofer who says he's going to pay, waive, rebate, discount your deductible, or give you referral rewards to help offset your deductible, then what you need to know is that you, by accepting that offer, and your contractor are both committing insurance fraud at a minimum, or even you are breaking the law. If you want to find out how the insurance claim process works from beginning to end, then watch that playlist right there. And if you're interested, intrigued, fascinated to know how it is that a roofer can make it work to pay your deductible, you got to watch that video down there.